Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be attempting to DIY, I just keep screwing that up every time. DIY my very own Gathre world map mat. I'm sure you've seen it before on Pinterest, on Instagram. I've seen it a million times. It is super cute, especially in a kid's room. And I would love to put like a huge piece in Jace's room as I've been making some changes. But the thing is, guys, it is $95. So we're gonna try to make it for only $13. So I wanna start off by saying I am in no way, shape, or form a DIY expert. I have a little bit of experience in art. I minored in art. That sounds so lame. I don't know. I'm figuring this one out as we go along. Obviously, if this is up, it probably turned out decent. Yes, it did turn out decent. And guess what? My website is back. I actually blogged all of the details for this DIY, including all the links that you'll need. So make sure to check out my link to my website in the description below. So stick around to find out how I did it. Also, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell so you're always notified when I post a new video. Hit that thumbs up, it helps my channel so much. And if you like this idea of DIYing things that are expensive and doing it for way less, specifically like kids stuff, kids decor pieces, leave any ideas in the comments below. Maybe I'll make a series or something like that. I think that could be a really fun idea. So let's get started. To begin, I headed to Hobby Lobby. I dragged the kids along and headed to the fabric section and found huge rolls of faux leather and tried to find the most similar color to the original that I could. Now on Gathre's website, it says these mats are made from bonded leather, which contain 72% PU leather and 28% genuine leather fibers. I really have no idea what any of this means, so I just tried to find a material that looks as close to the color as possible. I found a beige one that looks like faux leather, and this is what the tag said, Deco Vinyl, which is also sold online, so I'll link it below. But online it says 65% polyester, 35% viscose. Again, not certain what any of this means, but what I will say is that the original Gathre piece can be used as a wall decor. It could be used on the floor, like as an actual mat. So clearly it is, you know, good quality, sturdy, and all that. Probably why it's more expensive. The material I found is significantly less expensive. I am not planning to use it like on the floor. It's just gonna be a wall piece. So just keep that in mind as you're shopping for pieces. So this is what the front looked like and the back looked like this. It costs $9.99 per yard, but it was on sale, so I ended up paying only $5.99 a yard. I only bought 1 yard because the original Gathre mat is 36 by 46 inches. So that was more than enough for me, which is good because I wanted some extra fabric as a testing piece. Okay, so now that I've found the material I'm gonna use, I think it needs to be said that this is different, obviously, from the Gathre mat material. If you were to find a more durable piece of leather or faux leather, then you might be able to be a little more versatile with it. It definitely has the look though, like this color is spot on with the Gathre mat. So what I wanna start off by doing now is cutting it down to the size I want. So I measured it out to 36 by 46 inches. And by the way, you can see the material has creases because it's been rolled up for a while, but that's totally normal. It will go away as it settles over time. Yes, I did use a cutting board to draw a straight line. I don't even own a yardstick, okay? Yardstick? Is that what it's called? Measuring stick? Whatever. I was left with a smaller leftover piece on the end, which I rolled up and kept for later to test out the paint, and I highly suggest that you all do the same as well. I then used some rounded corner containers to trace an edge because that's how the original Gathre mat edges look. They are rounded off like this. Okay, so now that we have our fabric selected and trimmed to size, the next thing I needed to figure out was how am I going to take an image of a map and not only trace it, but actually increase it in size. Because obviously if I print it on a sheet like this, it's still not big enough, and I need to find a way to project it onto the fabric. If you're as old as I am, you remember the days when your teacher would wheel in one of those hunky chunky projectors into the room, flash the light on it, and then it would project the image onto the screen larger. Pretty sure that isn't happening in classrooms anymore, but that's basically what I needed to figure out how to do in my home without having an actual projector. So you could buy a projector on Amazon. I saw a few going for like $50 or whatever, but obviously since I'm trying to save as much money as possible with this project, I did research and find a way how to make a homemade projector, which is super cool, and didn't even know this was possible, and I'm excited. Yeah, we're so excited to share this with all of you. You just need simple things that you probably already have in your home, so I didn't have to spend any money on any of this. But one, you need to print out a picture of the map that you want to be drawing on the mat. Now Gathre does offer a few different types of maps. They've got a variety, but they don't have every type of map. So what's nice about this DIY is you certainly can choose whatever type of map that you want. If you just want your country and you want to do like all the cities in your country or whatever, like this is totally customized to what you want it to be. But since I'm trying to replicate their world map as best as I can, because that was my favorite one, I tried to Google search a image of a world map. I just typed world map outline and a bunch of different types came up. There was some that didn't even show all the countries. You could just do the outline. That would be a lot easier and take less time. But I am trying to get this as close to the look of the map as possible. So I picked a map outline that was pretty similar to theirs, and this has literally all the countries on it. So this might take me a while to really get in and draw all the details out. But basically we're going to be taking any type of plastic you might have in your house. The easiest to find is usually just a Ziploc bag. And we're gonna be putting our paper under the Ziploc bag and basically tracing the image with a fine tip Sharpie. So this is my Ziploc bag. I don't want the part that has the white label on it. So I'm just gonna cut this right now. The next step is to tape down the map drawing so it doesn't shift as you're tracing. Then tape the plastic piece right over that and start tracing. I used a fine tip Sharpie for this part. Next, you need a box that's bigger than your map drawing and trace the paper so that you can cut out that exact size rectangle. Then tape your traced map back on top of that box. But I have to interject here because the clips that you're watching, I didn't realize this till later. I taped it on the right way, but then when you project it, it would be backwards. So you should tape it on backwards so that when you project it, it projects frontwards. You'll see later, I did fix that mistake. I just don't want you guys to make the same mistake as me. Next, you're going to need some wall space and either work at nighttime when it's dark or work in a room with blackout curtains. So I'm using Jace's room and moving his bed so I have space to tape everything to the wall. I placed my projector box on a chair, darkened the room, and placed my phone with the flashlight turned on behind the box in order to project the image to the wall. Using painter's tape, I then taped my faux leather to the wall. I needed lots of extra tape for this to hold it up in place. And as you can see, it actually worked. The homemade projector really works, which is super cool. And as you see here, the traced map is indeed taped on backwards to the box in order to project onto the wall frontwards. Because my image had so many details, they were a bit fuzzy on the wall and it was difficult to trace every individual country, but I did my best and also kept my map printout with me to reference frequently. You can certainly do this freehand if you feel confident enough in your own drawing skills. You also Could just do the continents or like the main outline instead of the whole map. But clearly I really wanted to challenge myself because I chose to draw all 195 or whatever countries in the world. I used a Sharpie for this, which also was risky because if you mess up, you're kind of stuck with it. When I was done, this is what it looked like. I personally just want to apologize to anyone whose country is totally missing. Once I got to the right side of the map, it was so much harder and my proportions were off and I definitely had some missing countries there. Oh my God. What did I do? Australia doesn't even look like that. What? So obviously the permanent marker alone looks pretty lame, and this isn't the final step. We just needed the outline, but there's more to do. Remember that strip of fabric that I told you to save? Well, I highly recommend doing some of your own test runs like I did, because your fabric may react differently than mine. The top line here is acrylic paint applied with a paintbrush. The second line is a Sharpie, and the third is a paint pen that I bought off Amazon. I originally thought it was an acrylic paint pen, but turns out it isn't. I wish that it was. After they all dried and I wiped them with my finger, none of them smudged. I also tested with water and they didn't budge. This was all good for me to know. I read somewhere that acetone can remove acrylic, so I wanted to test this out in case I made a mistake painting. I tried nail polish remover first, and both the paint pen and the Sharpie did not wipe off. It left a big mess, but the acrylic paint actually wiped off fairly well. So I also tried straight acetone to see what would happen, and all three of them smudged like crazy. This was very good for me to know because basically it meant there's not much room for error as I continue working with these materials. Again, make sure you test this on your own piece so you know what the outcome's gonna be and if you even are able to wipe off any mistakes. I also used my extra fabric to practice paint strokes to get the look I wanted. I think the original Gathre map is very appealing because of its very painterly and childlike look to it. So I did want to replicate that as I was painting. The lines on the map look very flowy and the written text looks playful and even imperfect, which can work in our favor because if you make a little mistake, that's fine. The original Gathre map has that imperfect look to it. I really like the way the acrylic paint worked for the map lines, but I didn't think it would be the best option for the text because the brush wasn't fine enough. This part wasn't too hard because I was literally just tracing over the Sharpie marker. I actually found it to be enjoyable and therapeutic, although the right side of the world map, again, was very challenging with so many more countries to draw. For the text part, I first wrote it in Sharpie, then traced it over with acrylic paint or the paint pen. I kind of alternated here using both. I also kept trying to find images online of the original Gathre mat so I can replicate the font style and location of where each text was as best as I can. The trick with that was all caps, first of all, and certain letters have very specific characteristics, like the N, as you can see here, like they write it the same every single time. Usually the letters are a bit slanted to the right. Honestly, once you look at that original map for a long time, you kind of just learn how all of the letters look and it becomes easier and easier to write the text font. Again, the right side, like Europe and Asia, were very difficult because I didn't draw it on there perfectly to begin with, so I had to try and fix some of those errors later and actually add in countries that were missing. Ultimately, I'm sure I'm still missing some countries and some were too small to even write in the full name, but I tried my best, you guys. This next part is optional, but I wanted to give it a try. If you look at the original, there's a small thread seam going around the entire perimeter of the canvas. I think it's for the look, but it also serves the purpose of attaching those two pieces on the back, in which you would use to hang it up on the wall. So I grabbed that extra fabric I had and cut 2 small strips and headed to my mother-in-law's house since she has a sewing machine. I guess I could have asked her to do this for me. She would have done a way better job, and I haven't sewn in years, but I genuinely wanted to give it a try. So yeah, the seam did not turn out perfectly at all, but I used thread that was beige, basically almost the same color as the fabric itself, so it's really not super visible. If you have better sewing experience than I do, then yours will turn out amazing. It's a little jaggedy. Oh my God.
Are you gonna focus on every thread? Are you gonna show that on your thing?
No, I'm gonna avoid showing it.
Okay, then.
Here's the thing is, like, if this was a normal piece of fabric, I could take it out and redo it, but because it's that thickness and you can see the holes, if I were to pull the string out, you would see. I guess I could redo some parts, but should I really?
Do it, or you could tell your audience that you did that yourself, and they're gonna be amazed how well it came out. And that you did have flaws, so they don't feel so bad that it's not professionally done, because that is your audience, right? That's what I want.
Yeah, and really, if they're better sewers than I am, then this project will just turn out even better for them, because... Can I film one more part? Just one more part, just the outro. It's just the outro. It's just the outro. It is so hard to film in this house. This is why I barely put up videos anymore, guys. So yeah, overall, this project took a few days because I have babies and everything takes so long now. I would like start it and then go back to it the next day and like finish another part, but genuinely enjoyed the process along the way. It's now hanging up in Jace's room right above his bed, and I really do love it. So here's the finished look. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Is it passing? Is it good enough? You know, for me personally, it's good enough. I am fine with it. It achieves the overall look that I want. From far away and with some garland to distract you, it's not too bad. I definitely made some mistakes. The seams are not perfect. I screwed up a few words here and there and have some missing countries. But I have to say that yes, you can DIY a Gathre World Map mat, and only for $13. All I had to buy was that fabric and that paint pen off Amazon. All the other supplies I already had at home. You probably have most of it at home as well. So I think that's pretty incredible. If I did this again, it would probably be nearly perfect because I made all of the like necessary mistakes the first time, and I made them for you guys so you don't have to make them. Again, I think my biggest tip would just be to like really take advantage of extra material to test out whatever type of paint you want to use. I highly recommend acrylic because if mine was actually able to erase, I probably would have erased most of Europe. Definitely Australia because it was freaking huge. If you try this, please find me on Instagram at Lela Green and tag me in your story so that I can see it and repost it. I think it'd be so fun to see other people who are crazy enough to also try this out. Overall, I had a blast doing it. That's all that matters. Love you guys very much, and I will see you in the next video.